They're charging what for Mario Kart? Today on.
But can I get it with a game code card? That's my real question.
You want to own that game?
Don't own it over the intro.
Yeah.
I just want Duskblood.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Press Me to Cancel, your favorite retro game podcast. And this week, we are so retro, we are talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, which finally got a full announcement this week on April 2nd with more details from Nintendo. There's a very lengthy direct, and I know we all want to talk about it. But we also want to take a chance to kind of give a bit of a eulogy to the Nintendo Switch, which came out, 2016, I want to say? 2017.
March 2017.
Can I be honest with you? When you started saying that, when you said 20, I was like, 20 years ago?
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, then it would be retro.
Have a
It'll be
date.
there. But
Yeah.
10 years is almost 10 years is quite the lifespan. And this thing is still around. There was games announced during the direct last week for 2026. So the Switch still has a few more years in it, but the new hotness is going to be the Switch 2. So we want to talk about it. I'm not going to do that alone unless there's a mirror involved. So I'm joined by three good friends. I almost said four. Sorry, GP. Wolf, how you doing this week?
I am sleepy for some reason. I don't know why. Like I don't think I moved once last night. I woke up in the same position I fell asleep in. Still exhausted. I don't get it.
That's my sex life right there with my wife. Chard, how are you doing this week?
I
Wow.
can't follow that. I can't
doesn't watch
follow
us.
that. What the hell are you doing to me? I'm fine. I'm good. It's a beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to continue into tomorrow. So I'm going to fire up my smoker this weekend and make some smoked hamburgers and enjoy the weather until it turns to shit on Sunday, which is on par for the state. So happy Friday, everyone.
Speaking on par, Sinister, how are you doing this week?
Well, actually, that's a nice segue. We are real homeowners now. We actually had a lawn service come out and spray our lawn.
Beautiful.
So, we're setting ourselves up for a nice par.
Spray with
Yeah.
what? Like paint?
Yes.
Yes, paint.
Yes.
They spray
Yes, we're
paint the lawn.
painting our lawn. No,
Yeah.
it's stuff.
Dude,
to
I've
help
seen
it.
that.
Yeah,
That's
you're in
not
America.
unheard of.
Yeah.
No, it's fertilizer and like weed stuff and
Don't give
yada,
away my
yada.
trade secrets, okay?
Okay.
But no,
Okay.
Oh,
we're
no, that's still great.
we're legit. We're doing that. They showed up at like 5:30 on a Friday.
Wow.
Like you do.
Yeah.
Like
That's
you do.
crazy. Well, congrats on the house. Congrats on everybody
you.
for surviving the week. I know we were all anticipating the deluge of information about the Nintendo Switch this week because, all four of us are diehard Switch fans and can't wait to get that new one. So we're going to talk about it this week. It's funny because we're going to dump a little bit on the Switch, but I am excited for a lot of what came out that was announced this week. Not all of it. There's some dumping to be had here. And I know you
There's
guys
definitely
are
some
hit and miss on the device, but I want to talk about it from our perspective as four people who own a Switch of some form, as four people who enjoy both modern games and retro, and of course indie games, but also as four people who own fucking Steam Decks. Sorry, YouTube. So that's why I feel like it's important for us to talk about it. I think we have a good perspective on the Switch 2 and what it means to our certain demographic of gamer. We're going to try and loosely keep it structured, or we're going to try and stay on topic because, we're real good at that here at Press Me to Cancel. And we're going to start by talking about the hardware. So I am sick, but let me just read through the specs really quick. So the Switch 2, the device is mostly the same size as the original. It is apparently the same thickness, according to the Direct, because, gamers like it thick. And it's but the screen is 7.9 inches. Which I can't remember what the original one is, but it's quite a bit bigger at 7.9. Still a capacitive touchscreen, Wi-Fi 6, has Bluetooth. The resolution, when hooked up to a dock to the TV, as high as 4K 60 frames, or when it's handheld, 1080p 120 frames. Battery life between 2 to 6 hours, which is a range. 256 gigs of onboard
That's like
storage.
Comcast hours, dude. We'll be
It's
there
true.
between 8 and 5.
Yeah. You plug in your Comcast tech, maybe he might do a little bit more extra work for you. I think that's the bulk of it. In terms of hardware support, HDR, which is a big one. It is powered by NVIDIA. They're doing a custom chip. this is like a big bulletin board or a billboard for NVIDIA. They said they're claiming it is 10 times more powerful than the Switch 1. We'll see. It is using DLSS. Ray tracing is involved, frame gen, all that stuff. So I'm going to ask you guys, from a standpoint of the hardware, what are you guys' thoughts on the hardware?
Well, I want to point out one additional thing that you didn't talk about, because
Sure.
I pulled out my Switch and I realized it was not charged. And I have to plug in the cable right here.
Yeah.
Well, they
I
changed
call it the crotch connector.
Yeah.
I had to plug in the crotch connector.
They
So-
took that from the Dreamcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
but-
was just thinking.
But the
But
new
You never
one,
they
go
added-
full Dreamcast.
They added a second on the new
Yes.
one
Yeah, yeah.
up here.
For the camera, though.
And well, no, it's a usable.
I know.
Yeah, but to
Just saying I
be
did my homework.
to be fair, like that is honestly one of the greatest things about the Steam Deck is the USB port is up on the top, right? And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
the only issue with the
So-
one on the Steam Deck being the top is because the Steam Deck is a thicker device, because, thick deck saves lives.
yeah,
I have to actually get a dongle attachment, and it's like the right angle dongle attachment for it to actually fit into mine. I do have a case on my Steam Deck, to be fair, but I use one of those right angle connectors. I kind of wish they have a right angle connector on this one. I just find the ones where it just pokes out at the top or on the bottom, the cable gets bent
Yeah.
too easily, and then that wears and tears
Sure.
the cable over time.
Sure.
So that's my thing.
But it is still better than just the single crotch connector on the
So
original.
thick, you
Yes.
got a dongle.
That's how we do it.
Okay, I want to talk about you started with, first off, I love the fact that Nintendo, like when it says under their spec sheet, it says CPU, it literally is like custom NVIDIA. It gives no specs whatsoever, right?
That's all you need.
Yeah.
But I want to point out that I am really tired, and this is not just a Nintendo problem. I am really tired of this 4K gaming claim that everyone is making. Everyone is making a 5090 with a 575 watt like power input and a huge ass heat sink on it, still struggles at 4K.
Yeah.
Now, everybody's going to say, but wait, DLSS. You're right, but it's a cheat.
I was going
The
to say,
game
isn't that
is- yeah,
not a real? I mean, it's real, but it's not
yeah.
authentic.
The game is rendering substantially lower res. And when I say substantially, even 1080p is substantially less than 4K. Like we are talking, divisible
Well,
by
there's a
4.
1440 in there, right?
Yeah.
Like there's
Well,
4K
and so
and there's like a 1440, and then you go to 1080. So you're right. There's a huge.
yeah.
But
and-
that
and for
scaling
those-
though depends on the game. Like I've seen
Yeah.
the scaling like Cyberpunk 2077. I think the scaling there, DLSS, I'm gonna stumble over that word all night. The scaling there works fine. I think it looks pretty good when it kicks in. But on something like No Man's Sky, when I have it on the Steam Deck, it looks god awful. Some games do it better than others. But you're right, it is kind of a cheat. And the idea, when we're talking about the original Switch 1, which barely did 1080p 30 for a lot of its games, never mind 60 at 1080p, and we have the Switch 2 advertising 40K 60, like 4K 60, come on.
Well, and the thing is with DLSS, right? It's only as good as the AI can handle it, right? It isn't. For those that are unaware, DLSS is basically an AI model that basically takes a quantity of pixels in a certain area and figures out the best way to grow that area, right? Into a larger number of pixels. And so, or in the
So
case of
it's like ultra anti-aliasing.
essentially, yeah.
AI powered
but with
aliasing. Yeah.
But with like an AI that's trying to do it with some level of intention, right? It's not just
Yeah.
a duplicating of pixels. It's trying to basically like figure out, okay, this is a line of an arm, I'll continue it or something like that, right? And so, and even on the 1080p 120, I guarantee it's doing frame generation to do that.
Yeah. And so
So-
frame generation, I'm going to admit I have not had a whole lot of exposure to it. The video card I have now, I've just now started messing around with more better looking games. Monster Hunter Wilds being one of them. And when I was doing the benchmark for that, I was testing between frame generation on and off. When I have it turned on, I was getting like 120 frames per second, which is amazing. When I have it off, I was barely hitting 50. So it's definitely something noticeable. It does do things like add input latency. I
Yes.
didn't really notice it. I tend to for certain games, but I didn't really have an issue with it playing Monster Hunter. So I don't know how much of a factor that is in this, but I mean, maybe I'm sure with it being a custom NVIDIA chip and with Nintendo being Nintendo, there's been a lot of quality work on this. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and see what it looks like, I guess.
And
As
a nice sorry, Wolf, a nice cartoony looking game is a lot easier for the AI to treat than say GTA 6, right?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
Cyberpunk, or you know, and to back something that doesn't have to do frame gen, getting that extra, 60 hertz up to 120. Oh man, side scrollers are going to feel buttery smooth.
Yeah.
And potentially that lag is going to be less if it's not doing frame generation.
Right.
Welcome to all our 3D
So-
games.
I I
coming.
would honestly rather play at 45 frames per second than have the input latency personally.
Yeah.
Like
It
if
can
it's
wreck
a
and run.
constant 45, I'm fine. As
Yeah.
long as the gameplay is like doing what I want when I want.
Right.
So the key
As someone who used to stream, you run into issues with your capture card. It just
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah.
Right.
And once you're getting that input lag, it kills your fun.
Yes. Yes.
like I know on
So
the
doing
Steam
that,
Deck.
the console actually doing that would frustrate the shit out of me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. The Steam Deck I have, the OLED has it's a 1200 by 800 pixels. It's like basically 720p on the Steam Deck. The
Yeah.
OLED though has a 90 hertz screen, which is nice when the games can run it. But if the game is a little bit more than the Steam Deck can handle, then I dumb it down to 45 frames. And because half of the hertz, it still feels pretty good. It's when you get off the multiplier that it feels a little bit off. So I think if they advertise 1080p 120 on the Switch 2, but you're playing something like, I'm not gonna say Cyberpunk, but a better, more advanced graphical game, if you could even get it to 30 or 60, half like a fraction of the 120, it should be fine. It's just weird that they're pushing that when Switch 1 struggled to run games like Breath of the Wild, which is a Wii U game. The Korok Forest scene dropped, or Link's Awakening, which is it's a port of Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. They made a remake of it, and it struggles when there's a lot of sprites in the screen. Like that slowdown is a real problem with the Switch 1 for a number of games, and that drove me nuts. And here they are advertising so much more graphical fidelity, and I worry they can't keep the promise on this. That's my concern.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to point out, we didn't really talk about the screen or anything, but this is an LCD screen on the Switch
Yeah.
2.
It is.
But they just did the OLED for the
It's-
Switch 1 on the last release. I
Dollar-
get it. No, I
dollar-
get the
dollar
marketing.
bills,
I
baby.
get the whole marketing thing, but it drives me insane that they're like, we're going to release this really awesome, new, beautiful thing that's going to run at 4K at 60 frames and all this stuff, or 1080 at 120, whatever. But it's still on LCD. What the hell, guy? I get it's the money thing. Steam did the same thing with the Steam Deck. Most of us have the LCDs, while Jake is the only one with the OLED. But I get it's a marketing play. I totally get it, because eventually we're gonna get the Switch 2 with OLED, and it's like
right. They're never gonna do a full hardware mid-tier refresh, right? Like the PlayStation and Xbox do.
Yeah.
Nintendo's just not gonna do that. They'll be like, oh, we can give it a nicer screen. There you go. Give us more
Yeah.
money.
Well-
and it's gonna be $100 more for that.
Well, and that was a point I was also going to bring up. That also may be because OLED is expensive. I mean, plain and
Well, yeah,
simple,
I get that.
OLED is expensive, and so this $500 price point, and we haven't talked price yet, but okay, $450 or $500, depending on if you want an $80 game or not.
We'll get there. Hardware.
But
This
but
seems
that
like a
O-
good segue.
I mean, that OLED screen probably would have made it so that in today's economy, probably would have made it so that they would have had to increase that price by at
No, I
least
don't doubt
another
that.
$50, if not
I don't doubt
100.
that. I don't doubt that.
Yeah, so the thing is, okay, so LCD, this is where like you'd mentioned, Sinistar, Nintendo has been vague on the specs, and this is where it's detrimental to them and their advertising, because they don't tell you the was it the PPI of the display,
Yeah,
like the pixel
right.
density of the display, because that does matter. I like my OLED Steam Deck. The screen is real pretty, and the last few phones I bought have been OLED screens on them, and I like the OLED displays. But I also have an analog pocket, which is an LCD screen. It's a super high res LCD screen, and it's this big, but it's super high density pixel count, means it looks freaking gorgeous. And you put it side by side with the Steam Deck, yeah, it's smaller, but compared side by side, they are both very bright. The black range of blacks to bright spots on the screen is very comparable. It's a nice looking LCD screen. They can make good LCD screens. Whether that's the case with Switch 2, I don't know. But it's not like
But isn't it a
LCD
power
is instantly
thing?
trash.
I'm
Well,
not that I'm
sure,
saying it is,
sure.
but I mean,
Every-
don't you
ev-
get with
every
OLED, you get
pixel-
more beef out of your battery, right? Isn't
You
that
can,
Yes.
yes.
true?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm aiming for, is more longer lifespan than
sure.
It's not totally a look thing. It's more of an efficiency thing, is what I was saying.
Yeah.
So they say the original Switch was, I think it was 2 to 6 hours for their very first Switch, and then they did a light refresh. They didn't advertise it, but the battery was improved in the second version of the Switch that came out. It was like 2.5 hours plus, and then I think the OLED finally hit the 3 hour mark. But the original hardware was the same around the 2 hour mark, and it is going to depend on what games you play. I mean, we have Steam Decks, we're familiar. If I try and play Monster Hunter on my Steam Deck, I'm lucky if I get 2 hours of the damn thing. But if
You
I'm
gotta play with the thing.
streaming something or playing an indie game or Hollow Knight or something, then I get like 3-4 hours, if not more. So it's really going to depend on the games you're playing on this thing, I guess.
Big difference
so-
between Gungeon and
Exactly.
Cyberpunk. It's the
Right.
theme tonight.
So we didn't mention the controllers. They're back with
Okay.
these stupid Joy-Cons. Do you guys even like the Joy-Cons? Like, drift aside, we
Jake-
all know that's broken, but do you guys even like them?
No,
No?
I
Okay.
do not.
I mean, all right. So the Switch Lite has the built-in one, right? So
Yeah.
this works fine, but I think we've argued about this with the way these are set up. The sticks are set up. It's the same way some
Off-center?
Microsoft
Yeah.
sticks are set up. Yeah, the off center. I know most of you guys like it. I'm not a fan of it myself. But as for the Switch Lite, this is basically just a handheld. So my wife has the real Switch in the bedroom, and I've not played it much on the Joy-Cons itself because I need a controller. I need to actually feel like I'm playing my stuff. So I haven't played it enough to really complain about it. But I listen to you guys, because a lot of you guys have played a ton of it, and I don't like it because you guys don't like it.
I mean, this in this mode is incredibly uncomfortable to me. Like,
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
cumbersome.
Yeah.
or not cumbersome. Like, the problem is like
Just use it
I
as a
have
mouse.
to I have to. Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get there.
But I mean, if it's docked and I'm playing it in handheld mode, it's okay. It's okay. Is it bad? Without the drift, no, it's not really bad. But is it good? No, it's not really good.
Yeah, it's not good.
I honestly hate the feel of these little joysticks. Like, the travel is so small on that rotation.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And the buttons are freaking tiny.
They're super
Like-
small. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the Joy-Cons, we don't have the D-pad. That still pisses me off 8 years later. I still hate that. And I know on the Switch Lite, it has a D-pad. My daughter has a Switch Lite, so I've used hers quite a bit. And I miss that D-pad. And I'm shocked they didn't offer at least an alternative Joy-Con for the left that you can buy from Nintendo. Yeah, like, I hate the buttons. It's the same reason I don't like the PS controllers. You guys know I can't stand those controllers because of the segmented
Well,
D-pad.
PS
It's the
got it.
same on the Switch.
Oh, is
And I
it
like, I
because of
know-
the segmentation? I get it. Okay.
Yeah, like I know Hori makes accessories for the Switch, and they do make controller like Joy-Cons, and I know they're officially licensed, but I've never liked their hardware, and I don't like their D-pad. I want something from Nintendo that has a D-pad besides the Pro controller. But I'm
One
with
of
you.
the
The
best-
small Joy-Cons are uncomfortable. My hands hurt just watching you hold it up.
Yeah.
And like when you're playing Mario Party or Mario Kart, yes, it's convenient to have, the two controllers in one, but that pair of Joy-Cons is like $90 US, if I'm not wrong. It's more expensive than the first generation of Switch. It's $90, which means it's $45 for each half. I'd rather just
Yeah.
spend $45 and get an 8-bit Do controller.
Those
Yeah,
are cool.
they're very nice
Okay,
looking,
yeah.
Wolf. The
Those are
Zelda
cool.
Joy-Cons, but
Right.
they're so
yeah,
small.
that's yeah. So this is the Hori one that's just digital,
Got
so
it.
it's not Bluetooth. But I wanted the D-pad because I could not stand the
Yeah.
little buttons.
Yeah, the buttons.
Playing games like
But-
Binding of Isaac,
Oh yeah,
using an
that's gonna
analog
be a
stick,
nightmare.
it doesn't
Yeah,
work
no,
for me.
absolutely
I
not.
need the cardinal directions. And
So-
then trying to do that with all the little buttons, it wears your thumb. It's like playing NES, right? When you got to do a whole lot of movements, you're just
Yeah.
rubbing your thumb raw on the D-pad on the NES.
Yeah.
And the little
Now-
buttons kind of do the same thing. And then
Though-
go ahead, real quick.
I'm sorry. Well, you're in the middle of an explanation. I'm cutting you off. Go ahead, finish, and I'll ask my
Oh.
question.
I also wanted to touch on what Sinistar was talking about the Joy-Con movement. It very much reminds me of this
Yeah.
stupid little nub
Yeah.
Yeah.
up here on the
Yeah.
PSP.
Yeah.
Like,
my PSP.
it's
So weird. That's
so
such
I
a-
mean
Nintendo-
it's not
such a
nearly as
low
bad as
profile
the
stick, too.
PSP, but it's not great, right?
Nintendo solved it. Right.
Yes.
Give you an
The
Xbox.
you're holding up the Pro controller for the audio listeners.
Yeah.
And I think when we
Yeah.
did our controller brackets, we ranked the Pro controller high up the list, right?
Pro
Yeah, I
controller
think
is
the
a great
third.
controller.
Yeah.
It is a
Yeah.
great
Looks
controller.
like an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
No, but my question is for this specifically for the missing D-pad that should be on here. In lieu of it, it has the 4 buttons. Now, isn't that supposed to be a mirroring of the
Yes.
the XYBA when you're
Yeah.
playing it separately?
Yeah,
So then the
so
up and down turn into that. So that's why it would be segmented. That makes sense to me. But I feel like I don't have, I mean, my hands are relatively large, but they're not as big as, say, Sinistar's or Jake's. And I feel like I'm going to break this thing. Like, this
Yeah,
thing is,
well-
I watch people play it. I'm like, what are you doing? You smelling your fingers? Like, what is going on? I feel like Ricky Bobby when I'm playing this. I don't know what to do with my hands when I'm holding on to this.
So I do want to mention, by increasing the screen size, they did have to increase the new Joy-Con 2
Right.
size
Yeah.
a little
They're
bit
smidge
at
better-
least,
better.
right? And they did talk about, the L and R, buttons. They
Right.
did increase those. Although I
That's good,
have
'cause
a
they don't feel like
feeling
buttons on this one.
I have a feeling that the reason that they increased the size on those is because that's the magnetic attachment.
yeah.
I
So,
don't think they
yes.
actually increased the size for the human factor.
No.
They basically wanted larger magnets, and they conveniently gave us better buttons because they needed larger magnets.
The other reason I can tell you right now is the original Switch, the L and R buttons are super tiny, but you're meant to attach a rail to the top for the wrist strap. And that rail has
Yeah.
2 fake buttons on top
Mm.
that are much larger to push the smaller buttons
Mm.
underneath.
Okay, like
But that's
caps or
also the
Yeah.
first thing that gets lost in a household. Like, honestly, that's one of the first things we lost. I can't find mine.
I don't know.
So
where mine
I
are.
appreciate that the
I don't
buttons
think
are
hers came-
larger. I have kids, yeah. I appreciate the buttons on this one are also metal because of magnetics. So they're probably going to feel a lot better. I think there's going to be more of a click to them, and they are bigger. I was worried about the magnetic connection to the device because my issue with my current Switch right now is you slide them on, you slide it the wrong way because, again, I have kids one too many times,
can,
and that becomes
yeah.
a very wobbly connection. And my Switch,
Well,
if I do handheld half the time, it disconnects while I'm trying to play. It's awful. Go ahead, Wolf.
that's actually something we use the stupid little slidey bit on the Joy-Cons a lot because we play Switch Sports. So, it's mostly golf, maybe bowling, but those are the majority of what we play. So, we have that little thing to strap it to our wrist so we're not throwing this tiny little tiny little remote around the house. And so it gets used a lot for that. But we also had to use it for Clubhouse games.
Okay.
Because you can't play Clubhouse with a Pro controller. It says no. You have to play it with Joy-Cons.
When you plug it in, it says no.
Who thought that was a good? No, it literally is just like you both need everybody who wants to play needs a Joy-Con. Why
Is
do
it
we have
motion
to use
controls?
the stupid little controller? Some games are, most
Okay.
games are not.
It's gotta
That's really
waggle.
bizarre. Like, I can tell you one of the reasons why I didn't buy the recent Mario Party, and I bought the one before. I think there was 3 Mario Parties on Switch, on the original Switch. Bought the middle one because it was a throwback to the earlier boards and earlier games on the N64. And they're all controller based, no motion. And I loved it because it meant I didn't have to play with the Joy-Cons. I could use any Bluetooth controller. We played the crap out of that with my household. So when they brought out the new Mario Party, I was almost going to pick it up, but a number of the games you're forced to use a Joy-Con, and I don't want that. I really don't, especially for how much they cost. I've had an awful time with drift over the years. Every pair of Joy-Cons I've had has had drift, and I've sent them in to get repaired, I think 4 times now for different sets. I'm done. I don't even want to think about it anymore. So I've heard they made improvements to the new Joy-Cons. They are bigger. The joysticks are built differently. They're not Hall effect from what I heard. I know there's a rumor they would be, but they're not. They're just redesigned. So they're bigger, better designed, potentially solve the drift issue. We'll see. They are more secure when they attach to the side of the screen. So that's better. But they're still super tiny no matter how you swing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's bizarre to me.
These are the smallest controllers I've ever seen.
They are, yeah. So
my
like,
Fire
and then-
Stick is bigger than this goddamn controller.
The
My-
fact that the new controllers are bigger is also going to be nice because, like, you look at how close these stupid buttons are to the analog stick.
Yeah.
For a player to use that, it's not just that these buttons, like, you got L here and R here, and then you're
gotta make
playing on
room
the
for
middle of the
C button,
controller.
though.
Like, your thumb is like, your thumb is doing yoga while you're playing with this thing.
All this
Yeah.
real estate right here, but that's
It's
where the
odd.
C button's gonna go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
we shouldn't talk because we're talking the Steam Deck, and where are the controls in the Steam Deck? All the way up to the top. Like
You know
it's
what
weird.
though? It's
comfortable.
it's where
But-
your
Yeah.
thumbs naturally land.
Right.
It makes sense as a controller vertically, as like the right side or left side of a controller. It makes sense. When it becomes an NES controller, it
Bad.
doesn't.
Yeah.
And again, like they as Nintendo often does, they have a good idea and then execute it in the weirdest way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Nintendo all over. But I mean, at least they've taken some of the feedback on the original Switch. We'll see how it does. And
They make a really
There's a new
good
Pro
shoe
controller.
and they make it a hat.
It's true. The new Pro controller is essentially the old Pro controller. Although the buttons appear to be a little bit bigger, the sticks are a little bit different. And then they added more buttons. So not only
Well,
do
they
you have
added
to
the
explain
C
to your
button.
grandmother that you have L and R and RL or LT and RT, but now you have to explain the
Those are the back
gurgler.
now, right?
Yeah, GL and
Yeah.
GR. Do you
The
know how hard it
gurgler.
is trying to tell
gurgler.
kids and family who are not gamers how to
Gurgle.
play games and say, okay, hit R. No, not that R.
That's the
No,
gurgler.
not that R. The other R. RT. RT, I said. No, not RB. And now I'm going to say, not hit GL.
Or you map those to something and you keep telling your grandma, stop gurgling.
Get the gurgler.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just-
I mean, I hate that button placement. If I'm being honest, on the Steam
Yeah.
Deck, we've got 2 on either side, right? R4 and 5 and L4 and 5.
Right.
I don't use
Yeah.
them.
I don't touch them.
Oh, I use them all
Games
the
Because
time.
that's usually
do
where I get my
actually-
grip in, and if there's a button that activates something on there, I'm squeezing it all the time because I'm trying
Yeah,
to get my grip on there.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 12, since I've been playing through that as my Sisyphean, one of those buttons is the same button as whatever button it is to skip cutscenes. The amount of time I've accidentally skipped cutscenes because I'm like, oh, I need to scratch an itch while I'm in a
You just-
cutscene,
yeah, you
and
gotta
then
hold it. Yeah.
the other button gets pressed with my middle finger because more
Yep.
weight is on that hand, and it's like, crap. So I can't stand those buttons in that position. It's not it's not practical, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. The ones in the
then-
Steam Deck I don't push very often. And sorry, Wolf, but like for when I play Monster Hunter, I have one that mapped to Y and A together. And when you're playing Monster Hunter with the combos, hitting one button for YA is like a game changer. So I love those
See,
buttons.
That does
I-
sound better.
I have a theory about not just the C button, but those programmable gurgle buttons. They're they
It's gonna
are.
stick with you now.
I think, yeah. I think the
Nintendo
idea
gurgle.
is we can't sell a new Pro controller that just has the chat button. We have to
Yeah.
have some other thing that it adds to the previous Pro controller to sell more of these.
Yeah.
You can't just throw
Maybe.
a C on there and everyone's gonna buy it.
So that's the thing
Yeah.
is that they have said that there is backwards compatibility for the most part with accessories, like in terms of the Bluetooth controllers. So if you're like me and you have a pair of 8-bit Do controllers upstairs, which those things are amazing. I have the ultimate 8-bit Do controllers. Yeah, and the SN30 Pro also really good. SN30, fantastic controllers, and they work fine. The only negative is you won't have the glurler buttons, which whatever. I'm fine with that. I'm
I
glad they
need to
didn't
get
try
the
and be
glurler
stupid
on
with
my
it.
wireless.
So
No
Stop
gurgle buttons for
gurgling.
me, thanks.
Stop
I don't know.
gurgling.
Don't
Okay.
gurgle over the intro.
But we should
I
probably
wanna-
move on. Is there anything else on the hardware you
Well,
guys want to talk
yes,
about, or should we move on to the
yes,
games?
yes.
Yes.
The
Okay.
microphone.
Yes.
The
Oh,
microphone.
the
Well,
microphone.
Oh,
And
let Sinistar go first.
Stupid
And the
mouse
mouse.
mode.
Oh,
like-
How could
even
I
my
forget
kid-
mouse mode?
oh my God. Okay. So I was watching this the other morning. My kid got up out of bed, came out, had his breakfast because I had made burritos and just left them for him to heat up. So he comes out while I'm watching and he's eating and he's only half paying attention to this because he's just like not drawn in by the Nintendo Direct. It's 11 years old and he doesn't give a rat's ass.
Which
And he's a gamer.
sign.
But
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah,
And
right.
he sees the mouse mode because that's what the part of the video is on at that point. And after they start talking about the mouse thing for a couple minutes, he's like, that just looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He's not
Well,
wrong.
okay.
An 11-year-old.
And I want to point out that the way that they were showing people holding it, first off, it looks like it's a single button.
Yeah.
Second off, you're holding a wedge in your hand. So to Wolf Pup's, point, like this is gonna just wreck your palm and your grip and everything. And then, okay, we're gonna get to a quick game that we're gonna mention, but it's part of this hardware. The basketball wheelchair game. Where you
Woke
take
Rocket
your
League is
two-
what I saw somebody jokingly
Yeah.
refer to, and I think it's hilarious.
which
But
you
yes.
take your two controllers and
Yeah.
you start doing this in like for those watching or listening,
Yeah.
I'm
sliding.
gripping one in each
Yeah.
hand and basically you slide forward or backward and I mean I get the concept because like if you're a person in a wheelchair to turn you use one arm more than the other or a direction or whatever, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking at this just going, man, are we introducing a new generation of carpal tunnel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
The claw.
like,
So like
It's the
I'll
claw.
say
Yeah.
that basketball game
If-
does look interesting. I jokingly call it Woke Rocket League, but I think it is an interesting looking game. But the problem I have with mouse mode is I don't want to sit at a desk or a table and play my Switch. I want to sit at my couch. I'm not going to sit there on a coffee table hunched over. I already got a hump. I work in IT for fuck's sakes. I'm not going to bend over a table and do the mouse movements. Just like maybe it works
No.
my pant leg, but that still seems like something I'm never going to use this. If I want to use a
We're
mouse,
introducing-
I'll go to my
Hello.
desktop, right?
Just need a pillow with a hard top.
We're introducing a new generation to shredded jeans.
yeah.
Thanks, Nintendo.
Sinistar, get your Joy-Con, hold it like it's a mouse, and then
Okay.
remove it from your hand with your other hand and show what your hand looks like. It's
The
awful.
claw. It's the claw.
I've been playing Miss Pac-Man for 17 hours.
I've been wheelchair basketballing all night. My wrist is damaged.
All right, if you're listening to the podcast, this part is worth coming to YouTube and watching.
Oh my god.
It looks like it's I don't know how far in we are, but let's see. It looks like we're
42.
30 35 36 minutes in.
Yeah,
So,
about 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
oh my gosh,
like,
it's it's one of those things. Again, I appreciate the idea. The execution is again not quite there. It's that third prong on the controller from N64, right?
Right.
Like there was
Yeah.
there was a good idea and they didn't quite get there in making it on the same wing of the controller.
Just
Yep.
put another stick in the middle of it and throw a con in it and be good.
Yep.
It's like the
Yeah,
C button.
it's more unique control schemes from the people who never asked for them, but that's what Nintendo does. They do this all the time. I'm still shocked the screen is even a touchscreen. I'm glad it is for the 3 games that might use it. But this mouse mode, I know they're gonna do some interesting stuff with it. I don't think I want to use it at a desk or a table, but maybe something will happen. It'll change my mind. I'll tell you, it is weird. They didn't even mention Mario Paint at all in this direct. And I know it's the first
No.
big direct, and there's lots of announcements throughout the year. And I'm sure
Yeah.
at some point they're going to release SNES Mario Paint on NSO. If they don't, they're crazy. But
Yep.
it's been how many decades, and you have a mouse now on your Joy-Con support. Why not have a new Mario Paint? Like, I think people would be all over a Mario Paint, or at the
Oh,
very
hell
least,
yeah.
update Mario Maker. I mean, that's what this seems
Yeah.
like it would be great for.
They
right?
would rather do.
Yeah.
I believe that Mario Paint would be more popular than another Mario Party.
Mhm.
Personally, I
Mario
think
Maker,
that more
yeah.
people would be into that than like another Mario Party or this bastardized version of a Mario Party they're trying to
Yeah.
release to you.
I came up with
You-
a Nintendo accessory idea. Pants that are like thick on the legs so that you don't wreck
Just
them
get
and destroy
Jankos,
them.
bro. Just get some Jankos
Yeah, get
or a
yourself some
fresh pair
Okay.
of Dickies.
Okay, Nintendo, branded
Nintendo
Jankos.
Janko.
It's crazy. All right. So I think for me to summarize hardware, it sounds much more powerful than the previous Switch, which is great. I heard it's equivalent to PS4 Pro, which is interesting. But the control scheme, even with the changes, I think I'm still going to want to use an 8-bit controller if I even get one of these. We should talk games because we're over half an hour
Yeah.
in. I wanted first party games. I mean, there was only a few they announced. I mean, the big two, well, the big three, if you want to consider Kirby Air Riders a big game. But the main ones are
Yeah.
Mario Kart World and then the Donkey Kong game.
Mario Kart Forza, excuse me.
So you
Grand
say that,
Auto Mario.
and you're like, you really are hating on this game because you compare it to Forza. But I've seen gameplay. I don't think it's Forza. Like,
I
can
am
you
not
drive around the
kidding.
maps a little bit if
Yes.
you want to?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Yes.
But you can also just dip into a race. Like, it's mostly it's like a glorified loading screen that you can explore. I don't think it's like Forza.
Forza, you pull up to a spot and join a race.
Okay.
It does instance the race, sure, but the races are part of the exploration. And so
Okay.
Need for Speed does that.
yeah,
Burnout
yeah.
does that.
Burnout does that. Like, I'm not kidding. This, like, even the photo taking that they're like, you can take photos. I'm like, I can do that in fucking Forza.
Every game's got a
And
photo
there's-
mode now, and it's kind
Is
of
there
a
5 of those
trend
now?
I don't like. It feels like a waste of
You don't
time.
want to take pictures while you're driving?
I got a phone to do that. Why do I want to take a picture of Mario's ass in the air playing Mario Kart? When am I ever
Hold
going to
on.
need that?
This is a great
Wait,
race.
Wait,
This is a
hang
great
on.
race. Hold on.
Do
crazy.
a lot of people make a lot of use of photo modes in games?
No.
I don't.
No, I've never
It's-
used it.
it's- I
Stellar
like,
Blade. Let me
Is it
drop
just-
Stellar Blade on you. Stellar Blade was a yeah. It's
is
one of those
photo
games.
mode just like cheap and easy to implement? Is that why all
You
the games
used-
do it these days?
Stellar Blade
because-
uses photo mode for a secondary mission to go find pictures in the world. And if you take pictures next to them and pose and do your little poses, you get points and you get experience and you can level up things by doing that. And you find
At
you
least
find
that
more
makes
outfits,
use of
'cause-
it mechanically.
Yeah.
I get that, but I mean, I've never gone out of my way to be like, oh, this is a beautiful scenery in this game. Let me get my character, throwing the peace sign and sticking their tongue out while I've got this vista behind me and a giant dinosaur robot. I don't do it, right?
Yeah, I use
That's what print screen's for.
I use Steam screenshots
Yeah,
when shit
sure.
breaks and gets weird.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's it.
Which
Yeah.
Which, if honestly, what's the last time you played a Switch game that shit went weird and you wanted to take a picture?
Honestly, there was the screenshot that's built into the Switch. I
Yeah.
use that usually, like if I'm playing an RPG and there's something I want to remember, and I don't want to
Yes.
take notes. Screenshot, I can see that later. Not a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
great
feel
for
like
that.
the use of photo mode makes sense in like an MMO. Because
Yeah,
you're doing stuff
but-
with your friends and you got a group
Social
of people
stuff.
doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's social
which,
stuff,
I
right?
mean,
So you're
Mario
taking a
Kart
picture
World
of
is
you and your
trying to be
buddies.
social.
But if I'm out here
But-
playing The Last of Us, I'm not going to take a picture of a clicker because I think it looks cool. I'm going to be hiding my ass behind a wall. I'm not so invested in the game that it's going to pull me out of the reality that I'm in to go, hey, that's pretty cool. Take a picture of that. I'm way too invested. If the game's going to grab me enough to pull me in, I'm not going to take time to take pictures. Stellar Blade's the only thing I used it in because, like I said, it was a mechanic that was in the game. And
Yeah,
even
that's-
so, I hated using it. I hated going
That's-
out and taking selfies for a outfit.
That's
It was
how
ridiculous.
Forza is. It has like a couple introduction missions that are like, go to this place and take a picture of your car on this hill.
Yeah, right.
And then as soon as that was done and I was done with those missions, I was like, never gonna do that again.
Yep, I'm gonna go jump off
Yeah.
a cliff. Let's go.
Like Monster Hunter Rise, when it first came on the Switch, it had photo mode, and you had to do a tutorial for it. And I hated every one of those 5 minutes was tedious. I'm so glad Monster Hunter Wilds didn't even bother. It's crazy. Anyway, that's
I'm
photo
sorry I
mode.
derailed us on photo modes.
No,
I
no,
just
you're
don't see
fine,
the
you're
fine.
selling
Okay.
point of it.
Mario
No.
Kart. Going back to Mario Kart, let me pull up footage for people on the YouTube. I do want to talk about this. I love Mario Kart. I don't know if you guys are into it or not. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe especially is probably the most played game on our Switch. My kids and I play it. The accessibility options to make it so they can't go off the tracks and the auto gas and all that stuff has made it kind of the go-to game for my kids as a gateway into gaming. So this has so much since they're showing an actual kart, which is a rare thing these days. Real quick, the improvements of Mario Kart World is that it is a large map for each zone, and you can drive in free roam mode, just drive around the map and look at all the different tracks. There's a lot of hidden secrets to find. They haven't fully detailed what it is, but it seems like there's a lot of Easter eggs and stuff to find in explore mode. But otherwise, it's Mario Kart. You go, you pick your cup, and you have a sequence of tracks. The difference thing in this one is instead of loading between tracks, you actually, after you finish one race, you hop onto like a freeway, and you drive to the next track. And depending on how you do on that drive through the next track is how you get placed in the next race. So it feels like a lot less downtime for a Mario Kart game, and you get back into it. Go ahead.
We're not seeing footage.
Are you? Are you not? Oh.
No, we're not. Wolf and I were trying
You
to
are
use
now.
our, there it is.
There we
There
go.
we go.
Wolf and I were trying to use our system of not talking over your discussion to say, hey,
Hey,
it's not working, but nobody's reading it.
where's Pedro Pascal? I'm not
Yeah.
seeing Pedro
Where's the
Pascal here.
shotgun?
Where's Pedro
Well, it's
Pascal?
not in 4K. You don't see that fidelity of Pedro Pascal's beard and stubble unless it's at 4K 60.
I'm not gonna lie. Mario Kart World looks super cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
but it's not enough to make me pay $500+ for a console. It's just not.
Or $80 for the game
Well-
directly.
Okay, well, because we're all saying, oh, $450 plus tax. That's bringing the console up to $500 at the
Mhm.
register without a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we might as well explain it. I think we might as well explain the pricing real quick. So Nintendo's not been the greatest with explaining their pricing. There's still some stuff that's in flux, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But for example, the new Donkey Kong game, which seems like a full-on single-player experience that you expect from Nintendo, that will be $70 US. For whatever reason, Mario Kart World on its own standalone will be $80 in the US. In terms of the hardware, the base model Switch 2 is $450, but if you get the bundle, which includes Mario Kart, it's $500. So if you buy the bundle, you get Mario Kart for $50 essentially. They haven't explained fully why, but when we look at other pricing of other games, they're re-releasing certain Switch 1 games, like for example, Tears of the Kingdom. They're releasing Tears of the Kingdom, a Switch 2 version of it that includes all the DLC and add-ons, as well as a phone app. Big whoop. But that will also be $80. Kirby's Forgotten Lands with the new DLC, that's being ported to the Switch 2. That will also be $80. So it's not just Mario Kart that's $80. There's other things too. So I'm wondering if it's based on the amount of content in a game is why they're pricing it at $80. Although I don't think I like it.
I had wondered if it was that game sharing, which
Right.
okay, real quick, that's a little bit hardware, a little bit software. So we'll talk if you're okay talking about it. They're reintroducing basically a feature that was on the DS and the 3DS where
And the GBA.
And the GBA. Some games that you only had to buy one cart and you could share them across multiple. Like, it wasn't like I could be, I could buy it and my family could be playing it when I'm not. It was these shared games that were multiplayer.
Yeah.
But you only had to buy one cart, and they're bringing that back. And so for me, when I heard Mario Kart was going to be 80, I initially kind of thought maybe that's because it's going to have this game sharing. But you're saying that Breath of the Wild will be 80 and Kirby Forgotten Lands will be 80.
Yeah.
And I don't think either of those really have a shared multiplayer aspect.
And they were 60 on the Switch 1, but they both had or the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom had post-launch DLC that was paid. This is being bundled in with it. Kirby, the DLC is brand new and it's being bundled with it. Mario Party, the latest Mario Party game that's on Switch, is getting a Switch 2 version that also includes a substantial amount of DLC stuff bundled in with it now, and that will also be $80. Breath of the Wild is also getting that treatment with the DLC built in, but that is only $70. I don't know. It's a combination of the fact that it's a fucking Wii U game,
It's older,
or that it's not as much. It's discounted, but yeah. So it seems like it really does feel like that Nintendo is more flexible on their pricing. There has been some stuff. There's some chatter going around that in the European Union, Switch games had a listed physical price and a digital price, with the physical price being $10 more. But that's only been announced for Europe, not for the United States or Canada. So they're very nebulous on the pricing, and they haven't explained fully why they're coming at certain things. I will say that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they released over the last couple of years this DLC expansion pack where they doubled the tracks in the game. And I think the expansion pass for Mario Kart 8 was, I want to say $15 to $20, might be even $20. I don't know if you guys know offhand.
I don't remember.
That made the game
I think it was 20.
massive. The $20, and I was fine paying $20 for that because it doubled the tracks. Now you can debate the quality of the tracks that came out in that, and that's fine. But I loved it. I thought it was really great. New characters, doubling the tracks is a huge thing because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had a lot of tracks already, so double that is nuts. If this game has that level of tracks, then maybe I can live with it. I have seen from the gameplay on Treehouse streams this week that there's like multiple tabs of characters. I think it's at least 24 characters. Well, it has to be because it's 24 racers now. Multiple costumes for the characters, all that kind of stuff. Stuff that if this was an EA or even a game on Sony, PlayStation, or Xbox, the costumes and characters would be DLC day one. Nintendo doesn't tend to do that. So maybe they're coming out from the angle of, we're giving you 25 plus characters, we're giving you costumes, we're giving you all these tracks, we're charging you more for it. I mean, love it or hate it, but I think that's where they're coming from on it.
Didn't you say there was a lack of customization in World versus what 8 had?
So it doesn't have the cart creation that you had in 8, because in 8 you could pick, and 7 I believe as well, you could pick the wheels, your body, and then your glider. In this, there's a lot more carts, but they come with their stats baked in. I don't know if characters still have stats. I think they probably still do. And I don't know if costumes are affecting that at all as well either. So we don't know how much that factors into the whole thing. So there's still different cart stats, but it does seem less customizable from, like, you don't get to build your own. I kind of see it because I think, honestly, when I used to play Mario Kart 8 online, everybody was using one of 3 builds because you kind of metagame the makeup of the best tires, the best body, and all that. This probably gets you more away from that. So maybe from a balancing perspective, it's easier. But it kind of sucks.
I can't wait to play as my favorite character, Cow.
Yeah.
So
why is it called Cow and not Moo Moo?
Maybe it's localization.
Because they're not clever enough.
But that's not even the weirdest character they've added, though. Like, it feels like, so they have like Peach and Mario and all that stuff, right? They have all the usual suspects. They have, Waluigi, Wario, and all that. Great, fine. But yeah, because there's 24 racers in a match now, they had to expand the roster. So I guess instead of 8 colored Shy Guys and Yoshis, they added Cow, Dolphin. How does that work? The coin purse from Odyssey that spits
Mario
coins.
Sunshine.
Yeah, okay. The
Always
little thing that goes boing and
Blarg?
knocks you in the air.
Blarg would be great.
Which one's Blarg?
I want to play as Reznor.
Blarg.
It's not. We're not going back to the
No,
Nine Inch Nails episode.
Blarg, you know what Blarg is, right?
Yeah,
George?
he's
No.
the little lava
the lava
monster.
chomper
Yeah.
that comes out
I
in
thought you
Mario
were
World.
talking about the
And-
fucking
I don't know.
controllers
And-
again.
No,
And
its
Re-
name
and-
was actually Blarg.
And Reznor
I'm gonna play as Glar.
Reznor was the four rhinos
the
on the
Triceratops.
I remember the
Yeah,
Reznors.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
but there's a wild number of enemy characters into it, and maybe that's just fluff. Maybe just padding out the roster so that when you're on a track, there's more things there. But the idea that they added a dolphin and the coin purse as characters is kind of like Nintendo.
Why not
The penguin
hat from
N64.
Odyssey?
Yeah,
Why not
Cappy.
the hat from
You know,
Yeah.
if they don't have the hat, like what's his name, Cappy. If they don't have Cappy as a costume for Mario, I'll be shocked. Like they'd have to, right? Because that's the most recent incarnation of Mario. I don't know. We'll have to see. But you know, they have Pauline. I like Pauline as a character from Odyssey. She's now a racer. It does feel like they pulled some of the ideas from the mobile Mario Kart Tour into this game with the various characters and the costumes. Like there's Toad with a burger hat. There's Mariachi Waluigi for some reason. Like Biker Bowser. Like there's a lot of cosmetic stuff baked into the game. So is it worth $80? We got to see. I know they announced another direct exclusive to Mario Kart on April 17th. I'm going to really watch that one and see what's there. Cause like, I feel like if anything, even if we want to pretend that $80 is good enough for Mario Kart in this case, it opens the door to other game companies now saying, screw your $70. We're going straight to 80 plus. Right.
Right.
Like Rockstar has been rumored that they wanted to charge more for Grand Theft Auto 6 for months now because of how much money that game makes already, the demand for it, the hype for it. They've rumored they wanted to do it for $100, but they're hesitant because they don't want to, piss gamers off. But if you have somebody like Nintendo coming out of the gate saying we're going to charge 80 here, 70 here, 50 here, I bet you Rockstar is going to pump that price for Grand Theft Auto.
If it
6.
works, yeah, absolutely.
Now I'm no stranger to varying price points for a console. I think PlayStation did it. You'd see games anywhere from like $20 to $50, depending on what the game was, how AAA it was, what the publisher, all that, right? So I saw there were games that released for $10 at the end of its lifespan.
Greatest hits, yeah.
But no, not even greatest hits, like Blaster Master and Eternal Eyes and a couple others. They just released at $10 because it was the tail end of the system. They were super low budget. It just was what it was.
Right.
But like it seems like Nintendo kind of heard the complaints that not all the games should be charged the same amount and went like, all right, we'll go higher. It's like, no. Metroid Prime, the Zelda Game Boy remake should have been $40 out of the gate.
Right.
You read it wrong.
You went the wrong way.
You read it wrong.
Yeah, the Switch won toward the end of its life. There's a few games I've bought for the Switch because I thought, well, how can I go wrong with Zelda Echoes of Wisdom? I loved Link's Awakening. I loved that game, even if it was overpriced. And I paid the $70 or the $60 for Echoes of Wisdom, and I can't stand that game. The Kirby game, I know people love it. Forgotten Land, there's a lot of cool stuff in it. I have not bounced off a game so fast in ages. Like, it's just not great. That's why when I saw the Peach of Showtime, if it wasn't full price, I probably would have picked that up, right? But there's been a lack of quality in some recent Nintendo games. Like even the Mario RPG game, I know that wasn't full price. And some of the Mario parties, I look at those games, I look at the graphic style, I feel like they've cheaped out in certain areas to push it out. And that's fine if you're charging $40 for a game. But if you're charging the $60, I don't want to be ripped off paying for Nintendo games. I really don't, especially when they never go on sale.
So I think this kind of brings the question to a head, and that is, the four of us are like gamers. Like when we examine this, we're going to look at this and we're going to say, okay, they're bringing Cyberpunk to the Switch too. Meh. They're bringing, this other PC game and this other PC game or other console game, etc. And when I look at the quality of console or whatever, like, to me, I play Switch for first party games, and then maybe the the little casual games, right? And so
Mhm.
the question that I think Nintendo's always tried to push, this is a family device. This is a,
Yeah.
buy this for your kid for Christmas. Like it was back in the day.
Why is
People.
Cyberpunk on a family's device? That's I
And
mean,
So
I'm sorry.
why is a
I'm sorry.
Dead
on.
Souls?
Yeah.
Why is a FromSoft Dead Souls game on a anyway?
Yeah, Elden
But
Ring's
it's
on
not. Yes, it's a family oriented console, but it's not had that image for a while fully, right? Like it's still a gaming device. Even Switch One, GameCube had Resident Evil, so it's not always that case. But
That's
you
still the
bring up a good
argument,
point when you're saying like, yeah, they're bringing. You'd mentioned Cyberpunk, which has been out for a while on PC. They his Hitman, World of Assassination, which great game. Don't get me wrong. Elden Ring, great game. I love Elden Ring. That's coming to Switch too. There's a
Tarnished
few
edition.
games. Yeah, there's a bunch of games that bring in their older PC games or older, Xbox PS games.
A lot of
that's-
What do
major
I
releases
score?
from 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's the
right.
thing. They're 5 years old. I mean, is this
Yeah.
realistically going to be the only console for some people, and they might want to play those? Maybe.
Possibly. There's a lot of people who just have one console still.
Okay.
I know you look behind me and I've got ridiculous amounts. And but I don't even have like the PS5. I don't have the new Xbox. I haven't had an Xbox since 360. I have a PS4 that was gifted to me. I didn't buy it. I did buy the Switch. So I generally will only buy one console per generation anymore. So if not for the PS4 being gifted to me, I would only have the Switch. But I have a PC. I also game a lot on PC.
Right. And
And so it's kind of weird. Like it opens up an avenue for a lot of people who might not have these other options. Cool. But it's not the most exciting thing. It's like Skyrim on Switch, right? It had been on so much before that
Yeah.
that you're doing all this work for like a dozen people.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
they announced,
but
they announced
Skyrim did really
Hogwarts
well on
was
the
gonna be
Switch.
on there
That's
too.
the thing.
They announced that
Well-
Hogwarts was going to be on the Switch
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
but it's already on Switch 1. I
Right.
downloaded it for my sister. She
Yeah.
plays it on there.
So
it's
here's
already
the
there.
thing: is like with the Switch, it was new. It was something to travel with. The
Yeah.
Switch has competition now, real competition, not just a console stuck to a TV. There's Steam
Right.
Decks and Legion Go and all these other ones.
Allies and,
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's a market there now. Nintendo proved it. And now PC gamers are like, yeah, let's do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I got the first Switch, I remember I think I got Breath of the Wild for it, and I think I got Odyssey when that was out. But I bought a lot of indie games. It was my indie game machine, and I played the hell out of indie games. I kind of had a personal renaissance with indie games on the Switch. If I were to buy a Switch 2 for Mario Kart, great. I'm never going to buy another indie game on a Switch console. Not when they are cheaper on Steam.
No.
They go on sale on Steam all the time, and they run better on.
Right.
They feel nice on the Steam Deck. Like they don't. It doesn't have that use case anymore for me. You're right. It's not the exclusive handheld gaming, right, with good graphics. It's not going to be my exclusive indie game machine anymore. It's certainly not going to be the game I play retro games on anymore with NSO when I have Emu Deck on my Steam Deck, which have 10,000 games, right? There's better ways to do all those use cases. It really will be for me a first party device, right? Like as cool as Hitman's adding Nintendo themed items to it. You can throw a mushroom at people in Hitman. They've also added color schemes so you can dress up as Mario or be a Hitman dressed as Luigi. Read that into
That's gonna run rampant on social media.
Nobody tell Nintendo Japan, because I feel like when they catch on, they're gonna cut that content. But like
It's me.
those
a
are
murderer.
neat, but I would never play those on a Switch. So.
I mean, okay, so I'm coming back to the question of like, so for families that buy this for their kids, right? I mean, that's really where Nintendo has been strong, even from like, the original NES. Like everybody was like, do you have a Nintendo? Nintendo was the like even the Genesis was being called Nintendo, right? Like, do you have a Nintendo? Like, and so
Yeah, I have a Sega.
yeah,
It's like, no, that's not a Nintendo.
Sega Nintendo.
and so I mean, I think it comes down to, is there enough value proposition here with the pricing changes in particular for this device to continue to live in that market? Right. And so Like, to me, honestly, the only first party game I have significant interest in is Donkey Kong 65.
Yeah.
I
Thank you for
mean,
using the
whatever
proper
it's
name.
called. I mean, whatever it's called. Donkey Kong
Bonanza.
yeah. Donkey Kong 65. Like, that game looks like a blast,
Yeah, it
right?
looks
Because
fun.
I loved Donkey Kong 64. It looks like a modern version. It's built on the Odyssey stuff. Like, I don't know. But otherwise, like, I genuinely I enjoyed the hell out of Super Mario Kart or Super Mario Kart 8. I but I seriously looked at Mario Kart World and I was like, I genuinely feel like I could go play Forza and have a better experience.
Or
So
even Mario Kart 8. I mean,
yeah.
what
Well, I'm
when I
talking
look at it,
the open world
right.
experience, right?
But
Go play
when I think of
Paradise.
Mario
Go play
Kart,
Burnout Paradise.
when I think of Mario Kart, I think of just Grand Prix. Like I just
Yeah.
think of tracks and racing.
It
And
has
I think,
that.
or the
It
head
still
to
right,
has that.
head
exactly.
Yeah.
or the
So
head to head,
right.
shooting,
But if
Yeah,
I'm
battle mode.
and I haven't played Mario Kart in years. I haven't played 8. I haven't played any of the newer ones. But when I think Mario Kart, I simply just think next race. I don't think of traversing the world. I don't think
Yeah.
of what world has to offer. So world to me doesn't sound like something that I would be interested in. 8 Deluxe sounds more like what I would be interested in as a Mario Kart game. And that's my preference, right? That's not
I
that there's
can
anything wrong with it. That's just what I'm used to, and I'm more comfortable with it. And I'm old,
I
and I
can
don't want to be
definitely
like, "Get off my
understand that.
lawn," but get off my lawn, Mario World.
I will say, like, it does look interesting to me. I feel like the Mario Kart World's base concept was they came up with it during COVID when nobody could hang out, right?
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
Like the
And I think
Switch
that's a good
2
drive.
reeks
Yeah,
of COVID impacts applied to gaming.
Yeah.
right.
And I don't mean that in any negative or positive way. It's just the design elements of the thought processes at the time are definitely heavily involved in what the Switch 2 is.
Well, and
Fine.
if you
But
look at how if you look at how hardware is manufactured, in particular chips, this was started years ago.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we are talking COVID, right? Anyway,
Well,
but like, I probably wouldn't play this that much because I still think of Mario Kart as couch co-op. I don't think of it as play online,
Right.
which is how it's designed, right? It's designed for playing online and couch co-op, but it seems like it's really heavily leaning online. And my kid doesn't play Mario Kart. My wife doesn't play Mario Kart. It would be me playing alone. That's not the most fun thing in the world with Mario Kart. I didn't do a whole lot of Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. I have it, didn't do a whole lot on it. Like I unlocked a few things and then I was like, well, I don't really play with, so I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
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 it still has the couch co-op and it still has the Grand Prix and all that. But I think the issue they have, and I think Smash Brothers will have this issue too, is Smash Ultimate on Switch 1 and Mario Kart 8 on Switch 1 were pretty much the pinnacle of what that you could do with those games. There was so much in those games. Where do you go from there? So I look at Mario Kart World, I'm thinking, yes, they've tried to take a different take with a different spin on it. They have to do something original, and I think they've done that. I mean, whether it works or not, we'll have to see. But there still is Grand Prix. It just, in addition to Grand Prix, you do have some exploration if you want to do it. We still need to know more about it. They have not shown much of a battle mode, if it even is in there. There is a knockout mode where you start with 24 racers, and as you go through checkpoints, you get less and less and less. That seems to be the focus of multiplayer, but they still have Grand Prix.
It's cruising.
Okay. All right.
This guy.
So I have a point I want to make. But first, I wanted to. What the hell ever happened to Player's Choice and Platinum Hits and Greatest Hits?
Right?
It sounds like
Where
a
did
sale to
those
me.
go?
They went to
Walmart.
They went to Steam.
They're Steam
summer,
exclusives.
spring, autumn, winter,
They're now Steam
winter
exclusives.
sales.
Yeah.
But I wanted to. Can we talk about the sabotage of Masahiro Sakurai?
Oh, you're talking Kirby Racers? Kirby
Air Riders. Okay.
Yeah.
Kirby Air Ride was a fine game. It wasn't any like spectacular success. It was okay, right? Why? Other than the fact that they're like, okay, we gave him a project. it didn't do well. See? Go back to Smash Brothers. Because they're releasing Air Riders, which is essentially a kart racer, 6 to 8 weeks after Mario Kart World. What other than fuck you, Sakurai, get back to work on Smash Brothers is that move?
Get back to the Smash Mines. Yeah.
Get back in your cave.
Like maybe this is them trying to say, okay, you make Air Riders, then we'll let you make a game you want, and then you pick the game that we want. Maybe it's not Smash. Maybe they really want another Kid Icarus because he did that as well too. But what kid is in their right mind going to want Kirby Air Riders when they already have Mario Kart 9 Worlds? Like, even from what they showed, like, Kirby's cute and all, but it's not going to have anywhere near the level of tracks and characters.
No.
There's no way, right?
I saw that the first few moments of that with Kirby, and I was like, another Kirby game already? That's weird. We've had
So
two
much
in the
Kirby.
last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Kirby.
At least two. I
there's
was like,
always
that's
at least
really
one
bizarre.
Kirby a
And then
year.
it was like Air Riders. And I was like, that's even weirder. And they're like, oh, director Masahiro Sakurai. I was like, you really think that's selling the game? And they're like, comes out in July. And I was like, oh my God.
It's crazy.
You guys just did not want this to succeed.
Yeah.
I have to ask you guys, so when you get a new console, I'm glad there's a bundle with Mario Kart. That's great. But I mean, we grew up in an era where, you used to get a game with your Nintendo and all that stuff. Yeah. And that's been kind of fading in recent years. So when they showed off some footage of, was it Nintendo Switch World Tour or Tour?
No. Yes.
And it's essentially a bunch of fun little mini games and interesting development tidbits about the Switch 2 hardware and why it has how HD Rumble works and like playing mini games like guess the frame rate.
But I was like, okay, this is pretty neat. This is a great way to introduce people to the Switch 2.
Until I say it's
an absolute meltdown over this. I swear
it's
to
a
God.
paid experience. It's not even free.
It's fucking Job Simulator on the Steam Deck.
Desk Simulator or whatever it was called.
It's Desk Simulator.
Desk Job Simulator, I think is what it was.
Okay,
I literally
it's a fucking free, and it's excellent. It is a free introduction to your Steam Deck. It's free.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Wait, hang on, guys.
And it's awesome.
It's free. I don't know if you got that. It's free.
Yeah. But it's entertaining, it's funny, it's informative, right?
Yeah.
It teaches you how to use the hardware. It teaches you a little bit about the hardware, and it amuses you and engages you.
Right.
And it's free.
Yeah.
But how much is it?
Yeah.
But what? Reggie Fils-Aimé had to absolutely fight with Nintendo of Japan to get Wii Sports packed in with the Wii.
Yeah.
And arguably, that's the reason the Wii was such a huge hit.
Yeah.
Because it came with a game that you could play with your ridiculous
utilized
wiggling around.
All the aspects of the Wii, right.
And honestly, I think my introduction to the Wii before I ever had one, because I was like, it's just another console. It looks underpowered. I went to a friend's house and they're like, try bowling.
Yeah, we bowled.
Try tennis.
Yeah.
Try that, whatever. And we were like, all of a sudden, we're looking for a Wii.
Yeah. Like,
For
it
Wii.
was
Yeah.
that stupid boxing game. My brother and I played the crap out of that. It wasn't spectacular, but it was an experience.
Yeah.
And it was packed in. I would not have bought Wii Sports. The fact that it came with the Wii was a huge bonus.
Yeah.
And it was a great tech demo for people who were uninitiated.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I look at this Nintendo Switch Tour thing, it feels less of a game than Wii Sports. Wii Sports was mini games for sure, but I felt like there's more there to play. This feels less to play, more to learn. There's some neat stuff there. There's like a mini golf thing that takes advantage of the mouse, because the mouse, and it's cool, as cramped as it is, it does use the gyros to twist around. So there's a mini golf thing there. There's a demo of Mario Bros. 1-1 where it starts at pixel accurate, tiny little stamp of the screen. As you explore 1-1, it fills out to 4K. That's really cool. There's a game where they throw balls across the screen, and it's called Guess the Frame Rate. I mean, if I want to play Guess the Frame Rate, I would just go back and play Breath of the Wild, right? Like, that's something I've done before.
You just benchmark it?
It's neat. And to be fair, we don't know how much they're going to charge for it. The Japanese prices, I think it was like 9,000 yen, which is could be like, I think it's around $6-7 American. So maybe it's $5 American, maybe it's $10 American. But I think people are going to see that in the eShop, and they're not going to pay money for that when they have to drop
No.
$80 on whatever Switch
No.
One game they want re-released.
No.
It's crazy. So it's gonna be ignored, and if it's good, that's a real shame.
Can you imagine if IKEA made you pay for the instructions to build their shit? Like, yeah, here's a box of wood. Here's some screws and an Allen wrench.
Well, it's a box.
But the manual costs extra. $7.
It's a box of wood. It's $80 for the first set of like hardware for it, and then the instructions are $5 or $6, right? I mean,
ridiculous.
It would be like my kid's MetaQuest, firing it up for the first time, and it'd be like, all right, you need an account, and if you want to learn how to use this thing, give us $5.
Yeah.
It's like you just paid $300-400 for it, but give us $5 more.
And Jake, if I want to play Guess the Frame Rate, I'm going to play Cyberpunk on the Switch 2 at 4K.
Yeah, what did they say? They said it was performance mode was going to be 40 frames per second, and quality mode would be like 25 to 30. And that's my worry. That's my worry. What the hell are you advertising the hardware as 1080p 120 or 4K 60? But you're going to have a third-party game is going to say, oh, yeah, our quality mode will be 25 frames per second. Come on. Like, come on.
That's quality.
Even on the Steam Deck.
Yeah,
the Steam Deck runs Cyberpunk pretty well, right? Like,
if you want to advertise numbers like those, you got to advertise them per game. Right?
Yeah.
Don't just throw it as like
Not
a blanket statement for the Switch 2.
Yeah, they should have just said 4K resolution and left it. Right?
Or even just say 1080p 30 guaranteed.
And
else extra, or depending on gaming speeds.
Up to 120 depending on the setting in the game.
Yeah.
Sinistar's Sisyphean game is Cyberpunk. I challenge you to play it on the Switch too and stream that shit.
Oh
gosh. Funny.
Hang on, I've got something for you here. Hang on.
Yeah, I bet you do. How many frames is it? Guess how many frames it is, huh?
I found it. It's a fuck you.
Yeah, is that what it is? Gosh. That was 4 frames.
7.
Before we finish up, I did want to ask, like, first off, whether we're going to ask whether you guys want to buy one or not. But before we get there, though, I do have 3 kids, 2 of which are old enough to be into games. My oldest daughter didn't even want to watch the Direct. She's kind of like all in on her phone right now. She's definitely a teenager. My other kid is definitely a gamer, but the game she plays, I'll tell you right now, it's Minecraft all day, every day, Among Us, Vampire Survivors. Those are the 3 games she plays. And she did try Tears of the Kingdom, and she'll play Mario Kart with me and Mario Party. But she didn't really want to watch the Direct either. She's not really into it. She's more, Daddy will buy a game, and if I like it, I'll play it. Like the game we play a lot of lately, honestly, is Nidhogg 2 and Nidhogg 1, which is an indie game I play on the Steam Deck. She's into those kind of games. She's not really into the full-on games. And I don't think a lot of a lot of kids these days are into these old games.
Is not.
Yeah, he said that looks uncomfortable to the mouse. That fits.
Yeah, he didn't care one iota about the Nintendo Direct. I've had him sit and watch them with me before, and he checks out after like 10 minutes. So I didn't even bother. I just sat and watched it, and it was on the living room TV, and he had to deal with it. And he had his tablet in front of him. He was like, yeah, I'm not watching this with Dad. But like 2 days later, he sat in this room and played NES with me for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I almost think kids are not into the graphical fidelity of games as much as we were. I think they're just into, is it fun? Then I'll play it. Who cares what it's on or what the graphics are like?
Because they grew up on tablet games and phone games. This generation grew up on little bits of fun, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so you don't need this big graphical say anything moment. Just
yeah.
My nephew. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. So sorry.
I was going to say the other question that I had here is, are some of these IPs that Nintendo lives on really our generation? Like Mario, is Mario an icon to kids anymore? No, Mario's an icon to us.
Yeah.
no, my kid does like Mario. I will say that. Like,
Right.
as a character. He's not
Yeah.
all in
But-
on the games, right?
But for us,
He's-
it was
The
like
movie
there's a new
helped a lot.
Mario game. There's a new
Yeah.
Mario game. There's a new,
No,
you
but-
know.
no, but he actually once upon a time found the Mario Brothers Super Show on Netflix at one point and started watching it, and he loved it, which
Right.
is
Okay.
like what? But
Swing
know, he
your
liked Super
arms
Mario
from side
3D
to side.
World.
Come on.
yeah, he liked Super Mario 3D World. He played a little bit of Odyssey. He played a little bit of
Sure.
Wonder,
But it's
but he
not
didn't play them heavily.
it's not us who was like, oh, it's a new Mario game. I'm gonna
Oh,
get
yeah.
a new Mario game.
Yeah.
Where your
Yeah.
sister is pulling a tooth out of your head so you can
Yeah.
go and get a Mario game. That was a story. I told you. guys
All
that.
all of us are like, hey, Metroid Dread was a throw to us.
Yeah, it's a
right?
throwback.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
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 My nephew is clamoring for a Switch 2. Clamoring for it. What does he play? Fortnite and Minecraft. So it's not like he's playing anything that is an exclusive to Nintendo, but
Yeah.
it's right, I know. But I mean, like when I talk, I want to switch. I want to switch for Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
I want to switch for the next 3D Mario platformer. I want to switch for Nintendo specific exclusivity, right? So I mean, and I loved Metroid Dread. That's one of the only games that I really played heavily on my Switch. But even when I got it, because I got gifted this, my mother gave me this, and then I went and bought my wife the OLED because she really wanted to play Animal Crossing when it
Yeah.
came out. So that was it though. I have Legend of Zelda, which is Lord Optics. It's not even mine, and Metroid Dread, and then Animal Crossing. That's it. And then everything else is done on the PC. So it's like the only thing you get a Switch for is for the exclusive stuff. So you guys say that it's for gamers, but it's also not. It's for exclusive stuff. I don't understand the bridging of the gap. Like you
We're
don't
gonna
understand
find
why
out.
Cyberpunk's on there. I
Yeah.
don't understand why Elden Ring's on there. I don't understand why one of my all-time favorite companies is making a game exclusively for it. I don't care if it's a dungeon hack multiplayer game. I'll talk about it in a minute.
So
But I mean, even
Chard's
so,
gonna buy one.
no, my nephew's gonna buy it. And I'm gonna play Dusk Bloods on
Steal
his.
it
You'll
for 6
piggyback.
months. Yeah.
I'm just gonna steal it.
My brother said he's
he'll
going to
do
get
something
one.
bad. He'll get grounded, and I'll take it from him as a punishment. So it's perfect.
So we mentioned something the other day that it seems like they're designing this with gamers in mind, but not for gamers, right? That's kind of the statement that was made.
Something I would say,
And-
yeah.
Yeah, and I thought about it because like a lot of these things that they're implementing are for gamers, but a lot of the way they're handling the rollout of this thing is very anti-gamer.
Yes.
It's
Right.
very casual. Well, my
It's
brother,
frontwards and backwards.
my brother is a huge gamer, but he will not game on his PC. I don't know why. He just won't do it. He'll buy a PS5. He said he's going to get the Switch too. He plays games more than I do because he gets home from work and plays games. Unless he's
Can
got
I-
plans to go out with friends, he's just gaming at home after work.
Here's
And-
being a previous console gamer. Like I was an exclusively console gamer in 2000. I was only PlayStation. I was only, Xbox. I was only those guys. I would not play on my PC. And it's because I didn't know what the hell I was doing at the time. And I thought it was too hard. When I was younger, man, you'd go into DOS prompt, you type in
Yeah.
D : whatever Doom, and you'd fire it up, right? Well, everything got more complicated, and it didn't, but it wasn't. It like my old brain was like, I only know how to fire games up on DOS. I don't know how to put I don't know how to put a shortcut on my stuff. So I avoided PCs for a long time because it was instantaneous. It was instant gratification. I come home, I hit power, I grab a controller, I'm ready, I'm playing. And
My
then
brother-
I learned my PC better. Not that I'm saying your brother doesn't know all that
No,
stuff, but
he has a Steam account. He has Steam games. He hasn't logged into his Steam account in maybe 6 years, if not more.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
don't
used to just buy him the odd game on Steam because I was like, dude, you'll love this. And it was like, 70% off compared to standard pricing. So like, yeah, here, have it here instead of on a console because it's cheap and your PC is more powerful than my current
Yeah.
PC. I
Right.
built his PC for him. So like I know his PC is better than mine by a lot.
Right.
And he just doesn't do it. And I don't understand it. I don't know why he won't. He said he's gonna buy a Switch 2, but he won't get a Steam Deck. I've tried selling him on the Steam Deck. He won't do
That's-
it.
So
okay. I don't
so
know
I will
what to say
say
about that.
so I will say that, there's a few family members where once I've shown them what Steam is and how easy it is to play games on it, I have converted a few people. But there is something to be said about folks who don't want to tinker at all. They don't even want the risk of something not working. They just want to work and then chill out. And that's what you get with a console, and that's what you get with the Switch.
Right.
So whether you're
That's
like
true.
my brother-in-law, he buys a new Xbox every time they come out. He buys Call of Duty. He buys whatever the hockey game is that year, and that's all he ever buys. And he just wants to sit
Go crack
down, play it, and go to sleep. He doesn't want to tinker with nothing. He doesn't give a shit. So there's definitely people who just want it to work, and I get it. But if you have a great PC and you look at the Switch 2 and you're like, oh, Cyberpunk, I heard that was really great. Oh, Hogwarts Legacy or all this, go play it on your PC. don't play it on the Switch because it's not going to run nearly as nice. It seems baffling to me, but I get the
I don't
idea
know.
behind it.
Cyberpunk at 25 frames sounds pretty good.
Very immersive.
God, bleh.
It's retro.
Bleh.
So
Are they
in
making it
terms of-
retro because it's 30 frames for everything like in the past? Like, are they just is that their spin? Is that Nintendo's spin?
You have
Like,
to-
we're gonna make
You
it look
have to
like-
hook it up to an else or to a CRT with
CRT.
interlacing,
Yeah.
so that you actually can. Yeah,
You fire
Like-
that thing up and it's all fisheye lens on a flat screen. You're like, what the hell's going on?
like Silk Song is got in Nintendo Direct. Silk Song got 2 frames of 2 seconds of footage. They confirmed that the release date will be 2025. They didn't give it a month. That's coming out on Switch 2. It's also going to come out on everything because of course it is.
Right.
Me personally, am I going to buy it for the Switch 2? Hell no. It's going to run fine on the Steam Deck. It's going to run great probably.
Great on
It'll run great on everything. On my PC, I stream to my TV upstairs, so if I want to play it like a console, I can. I'll buy those games anywhere but the Switch. The only thing I would buy personally on a Switch is first party. And to get back to whether I think I would buy one,
yeah.
I really like Mario Kart a freaking ton, but I don't know if 1 or 2 games is enough. Like when I was a kid, having a console usually meant having only like a handful of games because games used to be a lot more expensive when compared to the cost of hardware. But this generation, the Switch 2 is almost 200, even if you adjust for inflation. The original Switch, I think, was $399 in Canada. With inflation, it was like $500 if you were to buy it today, if you adjust it. The Switch 2 up here is like $600 or something, or $699 or something ridiculous with Mario Kart. It's a lot more expensive to get into the hardware, and with the games being more expensive, I'm only going to own 5 Switch 2 games. I'm not going to do indie.
Right.
I'm not going to do retro. It'll only be first title, and I've been burned by Nintendo first party stuff. I'm being very selective on the first party games I even play. So I don't know if it's worth a Switch 2 for me, especially with the costs involved. I don't know. What about you guys?
I'm interested in Mario Kart World, like I said. I'm interested in Metroid Prime 4. I loved the first 3. It's to me that's still not enough to want to buy it. I don't care about Donkey Kong. I just don't.
And that's fair.
I've never understood it. I've never clicked with it. I don't care. I'm not going to shit on other people liking it, but it's not for me. It looked pretty. I like the redesign of Donkey Kong, but the game does not do anything for me.
Right.
Yeah.
But like what they did with the Zelda stuff, give me GPS on my phone in the Nintendo Online app, really?
And then have it talk
Like-
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
GPS works on my phone while I'm driving because it's a quick look and see. I'm not mounting my phone in front of my TV while I play Zelda. Not happening. It's
Turn right at
ridiculous. It's
Hyrule
stupid.
Castle.
But you know
Yeah,
what, though?
past the
My
Taco
wife
Bell.
saw that, and she was all on board because when she played Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, she had her phone out with the Zelda wiki up for advice on things. So for somebody like her who is a casual gamer, she was all over that. But we're not going to buy it twice. We already own it once. We're not going to buy it again, right?
But
Go ahead.
I
Really quick,
it-
I want to talk about the app. Sorry.
go ahead.
I did have Wind Waker with the GBA, like where you could have like the map on your GBA, and I did use that. So this is like a throw to that.
I
Okay.
used it maybe twice, and it was too much, so I stopped. Like I just
right.
didn't. It was
Anyway.
too cumbersome, and this feels cumbersome to me.
Okay.
Right.
Like why can't it just be built into the game? There's plenty of screen real estate.
Yeah.
Build it into the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
The game
All right.
has a map in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well,
So that's
Yeah.
what's weird to me. But it's I do want to play Mario Kart, like I said. Like that one I'm like, yeah, I want to play that.
yeah.
But by the time I actually get around to getting a Switch 2, if I get one, and getting Mario Kart, because the amount of money involved to get this stuff, the Mario Kart servers are not going to be as exciting. It's going to be well past Mario Kart 9, Mario Kart World's lifespan in terms of everybody being excited for it. They're going to have moved on to probably the new Smash Brothers at that point, because
Right.
Sakurai is just like, that's where
The
his
new-
soul is stuck, apparently.
The new Splatoon.
No, well, yeah, but no, I won't
But
play that.
there's a new
Um,
Mario game at some point in the next few years. Maybe not now with DK out this year, but there'll be a new Mario sequel to Odyssey at some point, right? I loved Mario Wonder. I would totally be down to play more Mario Wonder or a sequel to that. So there'll be stuff in the future, but do you just wait a couple of years and then hopefully pick up a better version of the hardware? You know it's not going to be cheaper, but maybe a better version that is an OLED or has
Wait for the
better battery
OLED to
life
get
in
out,
3
yeah.
years? Or do you pre-order now and try, or if you're not in the US, do you try and pre-order now? Because they did delay the pre-orders in the US because of tariffs.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. I don't know.
So for me, the Donkey Kong looks interesting. You did bring up Metroid Prime 4. I loved the Metroid Prime games. And I would when a new 3D Mario comes out, Odyssey 2 or something like that, I don't know. That might be enough, but if you were to push me today, am I going to buy one of these? At least not for a few years.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at. Like if for some reason it were given to me as a gift, I would not complain. I would not be upset. But that's the only way I'm getting it in the next few years at all. Is I've got my Steam Deck. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
Mario
if my-
Kart World does not beat out my Steam Deck.
if my kids were like, "Hey, Daddy, can we get the new the new Switch? There's XYZ on it," I'd be more like, you know what? Okay, fine. I probably would, right, for a birthday or Easter or something coming up. I probably would, but they have no interest in it at all. Their interest is pretty much whatever I'm going to play with them. They're happy to just play games with their parents. They don't really care what it is. That's so
Yeah.
different than when I was a kid, where I wanted that new Super
Yeah.
Nintendo or I wanted that new N64 so badly. My parents don't even know what the hell a 64 was, right?
Yeah.
Whereas our kids, we're gamers. So if any kids we have, they know that we know the systems that they're playing, but they're not interested in those. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's a funny
My
game.
kid has his own Switch. I had Animal Crossing for years, and I finally was like, well, I'm going to sell it, get the $40 and buy something else because I don't play Animal Crossing. I sold it, got something else. And then all of a sudden, like year and a half later, my kid's like, where's Animal Crossing? I'm looking for it everywhere and I can't find it. Like, dude, I hawked it. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's not like you were playing it. You didn't notice it was missing for a year and a half. So he was like, I really want to play it. And he used his own money and bought it again.
Yeah.
And he played it for like a week and it was
Uh-huh.
done.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Okay. So, Chard, what about you?
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in the Switch when it first came out, the Switch One. And I picked it up and I realized that I was wrong about some certain things about it. But it's the exclusive stuff, right? Like I said, I wanted the Metroids, I wanted the Legend of Zeldas, I wanted the Marios. So and I got Metroid Dread for Christmas, and my mother gifted me the light, and then my wife, I bought her OLED not too long after that same Christmas. I got Dread. So I was downstairs playing it on one or the other, and I loved the hell out of Dread. And it was fun to play. This was before I had my Steam Deck. It was fun to play, like cruising around and doing all that stuff. But there's only one reason, and those motherfuckers, I swear to God, they waited till the end. If they hadn't shoved Donkey Kong in at the end of that thing, this was designed to totally screw with me. And they put FromSoft has a Nintendo exclusive game that looks a lot like a successor to Bloodborne. I'm not saying it is, but the way they presented that thing had Bloodborne fans frothing at the mouths, including myself. And I don't care. I don't care if it's a multiplayer dungeon hacker. I don't care if it takes 8 people to play it. It looks cool as hell. Because I'm telling you what, the FromSoft, Dark Souls, Bloodborne design department that they have there are freaking brilliant. And they make some of the coolest looking shit out there. There's a cat with dragon wings at the end of that thing that even my wife went, "Oh, that's cute." Like it even caught her freaking attention. I mean, and it's the perfect display of a FromSoft game, and I was sold from minute one. But after doing the research and talking to Jake and the team and Sinistar and Wolf about it, it may not be something that I would play on a normal basis. It's not really my style of game because the Switch 2 is more of a multiplayer, trying to get into that multiplayer mindset of getting your friends together to go do stuff. I don't want to play a FromSoft game like that. I try to avoid, I usually turn off online mode when I'm
Yeah.
playing Elden Ring or Dark Souls or any of that stuff because I just want to enjoy the story. So again, my nephew is dying to get one. Chances are at some point he will end up getting one, or one of us will get one for a birthday or something for him. In which case, I will check it out over his shoulder and see if it's worth it. But for me to spend that kind of money on Duskblood by itself, because and I'd love to get Metroid Prime 4.
Metroid Prime.
Yeah, I'd love to get Metroid Prime 4. I am one of the people that likes the Metroid Prime series. I thought it was a cool adaptation to the Metroid thing. I still enjoyed Dredge better than I probably will enjoy a first person version of it, but it's still something I would be interested in. $500 for it. You can go get a Steam Deck for $399 still.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's
mean,
crazy.
It's ridiculous. So, and we're gamers. I play Monster Hunter Wilds in my bedroom. Like Jake plays his stuff upstairs. I can play Monster Hunter Wilds in my bedroom on a TV with my PS5 controller. Absolutely no issues. So it's very hard for me to look at this and go, that's totally worth dropping that kind of money for. To me, it just isn't at this time.
Yep.
I don't see anything. There's nothing technical about it that pulls me in. There's nothing exclusive other than Duskbloods that's grabbed my attention to the point of I'm dropping money on this right now. Like I don't know what it is, and it just doesn't work for me.
I think even for Mario Wonder, which I think me and Wolf liked a lot, I think we had to like try and sell it to you in terms of like you should play Mario Wonder.
You had to sell
me into it. Yeah,
you had to sell me on it.
And I enjoyed the hell out of that game. It was way better than I had anticipated it. Yeah. So, I mean, more stuff like that. I like, if you give me a game and I play it, I go, holy crap, this is actually really good. Like Mario Wonder was, then I'm in. But I mean, that's one game for $80 at a $450 console that will become $500 if I get Mario Kart with it. Like, it's just not. Yeah, it is. It's the wish.com Bloodborne. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing. And I knew they were going to squeeze something in there. And as soon as I heard the voiceover and I saw FromSoft on the screen, I flipped a table. I was so mad because it's all exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2. And I was like, God damn it. I'm not spending money on a new console to play this freaking game. And honest to God, aside from Bloodborne being in Sony's bony-handed clutches, I can't imagine that they're not going to release this on PC at some point or some other way to get it out. They may not. Nintendo may say F just like Sony does. But
look, I know you want it, but so for those who don't go watch, people need to go watch the trailer for this one. I know we're going long, but real quick, it's a FromSoft game, yes, but it's not like necessarily a Soulsborne game like Dark Souls. Right. It will probably have that kind of combat, but if anything, it's going to be similar to what they're doing with Night Rain charts. Like it's like an action-y game, right? The difference with this one though is that they said it's a PvP VE game, which the only time I've heard that term is applied is there's a trend on Steam of a couple dungeon hack games, super hardcore, super difficult dungeon hack games where you play online with friends. A very social thing with friends you play that's hard. It fits their MO. It is weird that's on Switch, but I think it's fine. When this PC, you'll be able to play Night Rain, which is online game, Boss Rush type of thing. It's a similar kind of vibe to it, to what they're playing. It's weird they're releasing two multiplayer games. Yeah,
Kinda
more
so.
roguelike than anything else. So
Right.
it's different than what's on PC, but I think there's still some crossover where, you know what, you'll probably be happy with the PC Night Rain and not miss this dungeon hack game. Like there's other games like this on PC if you're interested, but without
I
other
know.
people who have it on Switch with you, you're not. I don't think you're going to be into it, honestly.
But
We'll see what
they're
comes
tapping
out of it.
in. They're tapping into an interest. That would be like if a Final Fantasy game was released that was turn-based on exclusively for Nintendo. Square was like, "Hey, by the way, Final Fantasy 17 is coming back, and it's going to look like Clear Obscura Expedition 33, and it's going to be
Yeah.
turn-based." Then I'd be like,
Here,
Yeah,
take my
take
money.
my money. Chrono Trigger 2
"Take my money."
on
Give me
Switch
my-
2, and it's the
Hell
HD style that they've been doing lately with their 2D HD. Yeah, take my money. I'll do that. Then that makes
Right.
more difference. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So does that everybody mention about their Switch? Take it or leave it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
mean,
think
I know
we
we're
probably
I know
should-
we're running
yeah.
long, but I do want to mention one other thing that pisses me off about the Switch 2 is the game key cards.
Oh, yes.
Good
Yeah.
point.
That
Yeah.
what is like
Well, okay. I understand this. I understand that in the case of like, let's say Cyberpunk, right? Which on the PC is 100 gigs plus, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, these carts, if they wanted to make them store that much space, that's an expensive cart proposition. So I get that it's cheaper for them to make a cart that has basically a key to it and you can download the game. I get that. The question that I'm running into is, do you own that to your account or does the cart own that game? And therefore you can give it to somebody, let them use it, sell it, whatever you want to do.
It's a
right?
physical. Right.
so what I was to understand is it sounds like as long as like that's it's basically physical DRM. So
Okay.
you have to have that in to play it. The
Okay.
key is not like use it and it's gone like a serial for
Yeah.
PC gaming. It's instead tied to that cartridge. So if you lend it to your friend, they can now play it on their system with that card key. So
Yeah.
it's
I
just a new way to enforce DRM. I get it. It's in that regard, sure. But it's really going to kill the physical collector market and reduce people wanting to get this console to collect games for.
Right.
I mean, to be fair though, if we're talking AAA games released in the last 3-4 years,
10 years.
well, I'm being generous.
Yeah.
A cart storing that quantity of data. I mean, that's the thing with Sony. Even if you have the Sony with the physical disk drive, which is extra now, I don't get it. But if you have that and you go buy the disc, you download half the game.
Yep.
Still.
And you
right?
can't
Yeah.
play it without the disc in it.
Because
Yeah.
Blu-rays basically, I think, peak out at 50 gigs, right? And
Right.
so,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, I remember installing Arc one day and going, "Fuck, this thing's 140 gigs."
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, that is super frustrating. It's the modern gaming market has made me less interested in physical editions of games, unless it's like a smaller indie game that I really, really want. Like I have Alex Kidd back there on my shelf, which
Sure.
I mean, obviously that's going to fit on the cartridge and never need to be updated, right?
Right.
But like, it's hard to want to collect physical games now when you know they're all going to need a day one patch.
yeah.
Right.
They all do. And like, I'm not going to, I will never push for people to pirate games on a system that is still being sold on store shelves, right? Like I'll tell you, honestly, yes, I've dabbled with Yuzu and Ryu Jinx and stuff, but it's generally for games I've already bought on the Switch or they've leaked early and I want to check it out. I did that with Wonder, and then I'd pick it up on Switch and play on Switch. So I'll dabble with it, but I mean, it's not something I encourage anybody to do because you want to support games. Just don't support bad games, I guess. But
Or Nintendo.
when I look at not now, but emulation of the Switch and Switch 2 is important 20 years from now, right? We look at we play games now that are 20, 30 years old. Game preservation is important to I think all of us here on the podcast. And I look at okay, so we're looking at Switch games 20 years from now. What does that look like? It's going to be a whole lot of files for one single game, and hopefully that everybody's capturing the patches and DLCs and finding a way to
Right.
mesh it all into one file. It's
Right.
it's a mess, right? It's a real mess having it all together, and it only gets worse from here on out, right? The concept of game keys on a cart to download the game is probably to comply with EU rules on terms of like game ownership, because over there, I don't think you're allowed. I think you have to have something that lets you sell games copies to other people if you want. So that's probably a way around that, and it makes sense not to rip people off that way. It's definitely not the cereal in a box, but yeah, there's I only own 3 physical games on the Switch One, and it's because it was Labo and then the Mario Kart augmented reality thing, and it came in the box. I never go out of my way to buy physical. I'm digital. My reasoning being is when the lights shut off at Nintendo, and they're going to at some point, I'm relying 20 years from now, the emulation scene, to have those games preserved. I hope. That's kind of where I'm leaning on, and that's a dark way of looking at it, but I don't mind
Yeah.
paying for a digital now, knowing that I'll be able to play a pirated version emulation wise 20 years from now. I'm fine with
Right.
that, but it feels. I hope we still have that.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
I
so-
mean, if game preservation is going to be a thing that we're fighting for, right? The evil E word, we're not going to, I mean, you can't find good enough consoles to play. I mean, yeah, we have our stuff, right? We have the stuff we bought or the stuff that we grew up with that we managed to hold on to. But 20 years from now, what does that look like, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to play Super Metroid on a Super Nintendo somewhere without having to dig around or find a file that has it. So,
replace all the capacitors again.
yeah,
Right.
I
My
mean,
Switch One barely holds together. I can't imagine this thing lasting 20 more years. Like it just doesn't
Right.
seem to line up for me.
however, all of our Nintendos are still surviving floods and hurricanes, but like the original NES, we could float on a controller and be just fine and still play.
But no,
It's the right kind.
Only
I mean,
Jack had an NES controller.
I'm not trying to say I agree with the the game code carts. I really don't. But I understand why they're doing it in a world where games won't fit on a cart,
In a
right?
world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but
and I've had a big problem with like not physical for game preservation for years. You guys know I have,
Oh, yeah.
right? I mean, yeah.
it's worth pointing out. What was I gonna say? Shit, I lost it.
Well, while you're
Uh,
thinking, it's one of the reasons I absolutely love to support GOG. Not just for old games, but any modern game that
Yep.
they bring out, there has to be an offline installer that you
Yep.
like. They want everything to be offline installable. And there's a lot of modern AAA games that end up on GOG eventually and have an offline installer. GOG is doing great things for game preservation, right? And so, like, go support GOG, please,
Yeah.
people. Go support GOG.
We're in a world
I got
where
it back.
games that are winning awards, like BAFTA award-winning game studios, releasing games, and then they get shut down a year later,
Down.
right? And those games,
Yeah.
if their servers aren't there anymore, but they're still recent games, what the hell do you do? So GOG is great for those. Sorry, Wolf. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, oh my god, I lost it again. Oh no, okay, I got it back. I got it back.
Wow.
I got it back. ADHD brain is killing me tonight. Okay. So it's worth mentioning that there are a fair amount of people who don't have a reliably fast internet connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why they buy a physical game.
You're right.
So
Yeah.
I do hope that like the physical copy says, hey, this is just a key and it's going to download the whole damn game. So that these
Yeah.
people know, okay, I can't buy that in my neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
You
I
gotta go to a
think
friend's
that they
house
do.
with your Switch.
I think they do specifically say that they are game code carts. I think that there is marking
so.
on them. I saw a picture that showed like a branding at the bottom that said game code cartridge. Now I didn't look at the fine print, but I hope it, like you say, Wolf, I really hope it says this requires an internet connection to download the content.
Yeah, and it should tell you the size of the game, or at least a rough approximation of the size of the game, because that is a definite
'cause-
problem.
No, they'll tell
Data
you in
limits
blocks.
are a thing too, right? Yeah.
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 All right, guys. I think we can wrap it up. All right, so real quick, we are Press B to Cancel. You can find our videos over on YouTube at Press B to Cancel. You can also listen to our audio episodes wherever you listen to your fine podcasts and us, or you can go to pressbtocancel.com or pressb.org, and you can find our episodes there as well as links to our social, mostly Blue Sky, to be fair, and our Discord as well. The link to our Discord. Please join our Discord if you want to chat with us. We're always looking for more people to join. We are really trying to get our subscriber count up on YouTube. It's free, so if you enjoy this episode, please go over there and drop a follow. We do appreciate it. Or, otherwise, we just appreciate you spreading the good word of Press B to Cancel. We are also part of the SuperPod Network of podcasts. It's a network of podcasts just like ours. We're all nerds. I'm going to read through a couple examples real fast. We have Gaming Together. I don't know what the episode was, but it looked interesting. Fine Time, who are also talking about Switch 2 this week. Remember 64 show? Dave, we had on this show several times. He's doing Tetrasphere, which is pretty interesting. And then we also had Geek Addicts talking about manga. It looks like the Death Note manga issue number 2, which is always cool. There's a lot of podcasts over at superpodnetwork.com. There's countless other shows just like ours. Feel free to drop my follow and to listen as well. Otherwise, are you guys even streaming anymore? Are we all just burnt out this year? Are you still streaming?
Spinistar. DJ
Are you back?
Spinistar.
Okay, all right.
DJ Spinistar, my friend.
Okay.
Are you back? He never left.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
yeah,
I'll be
well,
back. I'm working on.
He
I'm
took
working
one
my way
night
back
off.
in. But yeah, no shit. No,
All
I'm
right.
working my way back to Twitch. I'm not done at all. I'm getting the itch again, but we are again. I got people moving into the house, so we're getting the house ready for them. And when they come in, my wife will have someone to hang out with that will make me a little more available to do streaming and podcasting stuff. So, as terrible as that sounds, it does help. So, I'm just saying.
No, I feel that for sure. Wolf, anything you want to shout out or no?
No, not anything new.
Okay. All right. All right, folks. This has been a great episode. Switch 2. Let us know in the comments or on Discord whether you're buying one. I am curious. I'm still on the fence. I really do like Mario Kart. But anyway, we have been Press B to Cancel. Thanks for listening. Everybody have a great weekend.
What about Star Fox?